our tuners take a lot of pride in getting that car to be like an OEM car. We'll literally have customers like, oh, I'm happy with mine. And they drive one of our cars like, holy, it drives like stock. Well, yeah, it should.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Minnoxide podcast. I'm your host, Harris, aka Minnoxide, man of many automotive aspirations. And I'm here with my Ford-loving co-host, Dan, Mr. Gunna Garage.
Yeah, there is a Ford in here. Back there.
Yeah, don't point to the Tacoma. And today we are here at AMS Performance here in Bottville, Illinois, and we are here with Martin Musial. So go ahead, just give us a quick introduction, who it is you are, what you guys do, and then we will go from there.
Well, thanks for coming, first of all. Like I said, my name is Martin Musial with AMS Performance, and we do a few things here.
Just a few.
Just a few. In a nutshell, performance parts, right?
Sure.
So, we focus on a lot of different cars, a lot of different platforms, and we come out with, core performance bolt-on products for, various platforms. So really the end user has a nice complete package of parts so they can enjoy the vehicle, make it faster.
So obviously we did a big tour here beforehand, checking out the entire facility, but I'm more so curious about this because I want to hear your side of the story. Obviously we had we had Arnie on a few weeks ago. I want to hear how this all started from your perspective. So from my understanding, you guys started with Mercurs.
You want the origin story?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The origin story. Yep.
Okay. So what's crazy is this is really my first job. I would say my first job is AMS Performance. So, I went to college, mechanical engineering degree, and as I was, my senior year, loved cars. I was always kind of, very hands-on, loved tinkering. I did Formula SAE in college, which is basically you build a race car chassis around a motorcycle engine. So I did that throughout 4 years of college. I was team captain last year, and I wanted to work for one of the big three and work maybe in like the racing division. But a lot of people I talked to was like, "Hey, you're going to start low. You're going to be designing door handles for a year," and I'm like,
right.
I don't want to be doing that, right? So, but I was considering it, and then my dad had a really small tool and die shop. Him and another guy, and his business partner actually just left him like high and dry. And Dad's like, "I need your help." I can't say no to my dad. I mean, he helped me out through college. They paid for college. So I worked for my dad for a while, lived at home. And, I had aspirations of starting something automotive. But again, working with my father and living at home, their house is under 1,000 square feet. So that was challenging. Here I'm out of college, trying to be my own person. And, Arnie, who was, one of my best friends growing up, he had a house. And we're always kind of tinkering with cars. And he actually goes, "Hey, you can in trade, I'll give you a place to live here if you work on my car." He had a Mercur XR4 Ti. So, super nice and a huge opportunity for me. So I moved to my parents' house, still work for my dad, and I was tinkering with this Mercur XR4 Ti. Arnie was not part of AMS at that point. He was still had his regular job. I was kind of tinkering, and I'm like, oh, I want to make this stuff. And back then the forums, people, I was modifying the car, I was tuning it, and one thing like this thing needs a camshaft. And online on the forums, kind of, I met up with this guy who's super intelligent, and turns out he was a NASA scientist. So
he knows a thing or two.
Yeah. So and again, huge car guy. And so we kind of connected, and we're like, let's make a camshaft for these things. 2.3 turbo Ford, iron head thing was so heavy. I remember I actually have a story. I was porting the head on Arnie's car with a die grinder, rear exhaust die grinder, and blew all the iron dust into my eyes. That was a nice emergency room visit at 4 a.m. But him and I, we designed a camshaft for the Mercur XR4 Ti, and that was kind of the first official AMS product. So that's kind of how it started a little bit. But then,
do you know what year this is?
Oh God, this is graduated college in 97. This is probably 99, maybe 2000, somewhere around 2000, around there. And we're doing like group buys on the forum for this camshaft. And eventually I'm like, I want to turn this into a business. And the guy, his name is Fritz Moore. He's like, I'm working at NASA. You take it and run with it if you want to pursue it further. So he kind of, we kind of split the money on the camshaft stuff, and I started AMS, and opportunity came up in my dad's business. He had extra. We're supposed to get a big job, a tool and die job, and he rented a small unit next door to kind of prepare for the job, and the job fell through, so he had the space. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna start doing car stuff over here. And my dad, my parents are European. They both came from Europe, and they're very tough love. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? This is stupid. Cars, like, you have an engineering degree, come do this metal tool and die stand with me. And it was not exciting for me.
Sure.
The whole industry was super conservative, old school. And like when I went to meetings with him, it was like, you're meeting with like 60-year-old dudes. It was metal stamping. It was not exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I started there. I started basically back then, DSMs were a thing. Galant VR4. I remember I bought a Galant VR4. I think I made an exhaust for it. Arnie worked at what was a place called Fry's Automotive, a heavy duty truck towing company, and he let me use his welder over there, and I fabricated exhaust and did some stuff to it. And because we didn't have that equipment yet, and this is my space, it was literally just a concrete floor. But that's kind of how it started. So I started working on cars there, and I'd say about a year in, I was working on Mercurs, DSMs. I was the mechanic, and it was just kind of mayhem. I was trying to do everything, and then I brought Arnie in. I think it's probably about a year in.
Okay,
Arnie's helping me kind of like just in his time, because he had a full-time job. So he was helping me, I was kind of the mad scientist. He was kind of the guy organizing. He's very organized and organizing behind me and putting structure to it. Did
you ever cross paths with Tim Roman, by the way, during on the whole Mercur thing? Mm-mm. Was he like the first like all-wheel drive one or something like that? I can't remember. What it was.
Yeah, but this would be later. That's kind of intrigues me, because you at that point, this is late 90s now. That's a 10-year-old platform already, and they're not making it anymore.
No.
So that is kind of a weird bag to jump into.
But it was a cool platform.
Yeah,
I think Arnie's car, I was making back then on pump gas 360 or 370 the wheels on pump gas back then, which is pretty decent. I remember, coming back from Great Lakes drag strip, and there was like a Firehawk. It was one of the Camaro SS, something like that, and it was modified. I remember racing a guy on the highway, and he could not pull on me, and he was like, F is that thing, And when we pulled off, he's like, what is a 4-cylinder? And here's a V8, and like, it was like, the car was lighter than the Camaro, and it was making decent power. Mm-hmm. So it was fun. It was fun to surprise people with that car. But yeah, it's kind of how it started. Arnie came on board, and we both kind of grew, and, the business, and it moved from, I was working on the cars, I was fabricating, to hiring people on, and kind of training people to replace what we were doing, and moving up.
Were you doing like turbo coupes and Mustangs and stuff too, or was it mostly just Mercurs?
No, just Mercurs. It's the same engine. Yeah. Thunderbird turbo coupe. Yeah.
Yeah, I have an 88 turbo coupe. It's one of my favorite cars. Yeah.
That was intercooled, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it has those little nostrils on the hood. Yeah.
Mercur was not intercooled. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was non-intercooled turbo car. Yeah.
It's still not very impressive. I have a 2.3 EcoBoost ready to go in it when it's. I'm trying to blow it up right now. Actually, I'm driving around really hard, and
they're hard to blow up.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so this is kind of a question that I have for people that are in your position, and by that, what I mean is, it takes one thing to grow a shop to 5-10 guys. How do you get to this scale? Like, is it passion for the product, for the cars? Is it learning the business? What exactly was it that led to this?
A combination of things. It's luck. It's a lot of mistakes you make and learning from those mistakes. But it is, in this industry, it's passion. If you don't have the passion for it, it's not, no one with a mindset of, I just want to make money but I don't like cars gets into this, because it's not, you're first and foremost not making money for a long time. Mm-hmm. We weren't profitable. I wasn't taking a paycheck for years. I was just like, dude, it was tough, and it's always tough in this business. But it is, you have to, at some point, treat it as a true business. I joined a group of other business owners, not automotive, just a peer-to-peer network of business owners. They're varying, from insurance to other manufacturing, a group in 2017. And I learned so much that the core of all business is the same, from inventory control to finance to managing people to project management. All that's the same. It's just what you do. And when I learned that was kind of a game changer, because it was, people from the outside, even like say 15 years into business, like, oh man, AMS got it made. So lucky. What are you driving? Like Porsches and Lambos? I'm like, no, I'm driving an old car. At one point I was driving my parents' old Maxima that was running on like sometimes 6 cylinders, sometimes 5 cylinders, and trying to make ends meet. Everything was getting poured right back into the business, to keep feeding the monster, I call it, So you have to learn business principles. You have to, because if not, you'll grind yourself to death. So, and it's a lot to learn. It's making sure you have the right people on board. It's the process, the finance is a big thing. We've competed with people on price. Let's see, we've come out with products, and you can see the people that come out with products that are not a real business. Like you're not making money selling at that point. You're working out of your garage, or you don't have a real business. You're doing it because you love that car, but you're not making money. And for us, that was a tough thing, and learning that aspect of it, how to build margin for dealers, how to build a distribution network. How do you let everyone play?
What was the biggest hump you had to kind of cross over the years?
I'm sorry?
What's the biggest hump you had to cross?
How many? Which one?
I know it's hard to nail it down, but is there any pivotal moments? Like, for example, a lot of people go back to 2008, 2009. It's like, how do you mitigate that? Or like COVID, for example.
Yeah. God, again, this is a tough business. We've had so many being in business that long. Like 2008 was definitely difficult. Obviously, that downturn. Thankfully, I saw it coming, and we had a decent international network, and I just pushed that really hard.
Okay.
Traveled overseas, pushed that international network hard. So as U.S. sales fell, we kind of our international stuff picked up. But we still had to do a lot of damage control. As far as like following sales, stuff like that. There was that. What I tell people is AMS version 1.0, there's 2.0, and now we're working on 3.0. 8 years ago, 2017, that was probably our biggest hump we had to get over, where, from the outside looking in, we're doing great. But on the inside, it's like, we're not making any money. We're setting records, doing all this stuff, but really not making any money. And I'm working 50 hours a week plus, and I'm stressed and not sleeping. I'm like, it's something has to change, or like, I don't want to, I'll just go get a job. I had friends from college that were way more successful just working for companies financially, and also with vacation time and free time and less stress.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing for me, is like, I need to turn this into a business, not just a passion that's grinding me to death. So that was the biggest hump I had to get over. And that was, it was very difficult. It was, like parting ways with Arnie. I mean, that was incredibly challenging, and we just had different kind of visions, and and I want to take the company a certain way, and it was a very difficult decision for me. And, I really think he's better off now doing what he's doing, enjoying himself, because, this is a grind. You cannot take your foot off the gas in this business at all. You have to be on it all the time. But that was difficult. We had to do a lot of changes, from personnel to how we run the entire business. Yeah.
Going back to the beginning a little bit, so you had the camshaft. Is there a product that you developed, or what was the first flagship thing that you guys did? What was there? Like all of a sudden you're like, okay, we're taking a next level up here. Do you know what took you to that spot?
Sure. God, I remember this vividly. We came out with a turbo kit for the Evo 8. So Evo 8 was pretty fresh. Obviously the Evo's been out overseas, and we got, I think, one of the first Evo 8s in Chicagoland area, overpaid for it, of course. But there was like a race, I think it's called the DSM shootout. It wasn't even called the it was back, was this 2005 maybe? or 6, and we had got the car. We didn't have much time. There's some tuning solution that kind of worked on it, and we had this race come up, and like we have to build a turbo kit, something differentiated than just bolt-ons. And it was me, this guy Adam Doer, one of our fabricators. We were up for days, like taking an existing bolt-on turbo with an external wastegate on it and adapting, making this kit and making this turbo work for this thing. And like, I remember driving to the shootout. I think it was me, my girlfriend at that time, and Arnie, and I was married at that time, or his girlfriend, driving to the shootout. And like, I was like, I couldn't drive. We're all just so tired, taking turns driving there, just falling asleep. But that, that differentiated us. We came to the shootout with a car that wasn't stock turbo. It had an upgrade turbo kit, and then we, revised that so it wasn't a rush job, and that we sold a lot of those turbo kits. Okay. A lot of those things, yeah. So
at that point, were you a lot in the forums and stuff back then? Like how exactly were you marketing back then?
Yeah, forums were huge back then. So, the big things we do is we'd race the car, so we do drag racing, we do time attack racing. And back then with the magazine coverage, you got a lot of free exposure, right? You didn't have to go out and do all your own marketing on social media. Sure. You had the magazines who were, chomping at the bit to get media coverage.
Some podcasts just come straight to you.
Yeah. No, that is, that's a great thing, right? Back then, it seemed like it was so much easier back then. And you had forums you can go on. It's just different these days. Sure. So we drag race, we time attack. You get a ton of media, like magazine exposure, because everyone's reading magazines back then. You have the forums, which, the nice thing about the forums, I do miss that, is you had good information that would stay up and relevant. Now, with social media, it's there and gone. It doesn't stick. And so the same people either don't see it or they ask the same question over and over again. It's like, and it's just...
People don't know how to use the search bar either, by the way. You can find anything in a Facebook group. You just have to look for it.
Yeah. But it's harder these days. True. I think. It's a lot more misinformation too out there about stuff. I mean, dude, I bought a Nissan Stagea, right? I imported from Japan, and I'm researching online. Like, everyone, 350Z Brembo brakes bolt right up. You got to do a few little things to it. Does not bolt up. I'm like, show me where, like, now that I'm doing, I'm like, show me where, I just bolts, I just got to do something. Like, what, show me what you had to do. There's so much misinformation out there. And I'm like, no, it's not easy. So, sifting through that these days, it is challenging. I feel for the consumer sometimes where there is bullshit marketing out there in products, plus 20 horsepower, plus 25, like what's real and what's not. And that's the challenge here, is us doing the good work, being honest about what we do. And it takes a lot more effort to do that, right? To be honest about your products, making sure it's the best. And then you compete with someone who just blabs out numbers. That's or BS.
So there's a few ways I could take this. So first of all, you've done a number of programs over the years. Like, first of all, when did you go from just modifying cars here and there to actual dedicated programs? Like, the one that comes to mind is the GTR program, right? Yeah. Like, you guys were chasing everything at that point. Before you did that, like, when did that jump happen? Was it the Evos?
Yeah, it was really the Evos. Okay. That's kind of where, the DSMs, I would say, I mean, we're doing some bolt-on parts for those. We're driving those in deeper building engines. But really the Evos were kind of like, at that point, really building our drag Evo, where it was making, over 1,000 horsepower back then on a 4G63 and really taking a deep dive. One of the lessons I learned is you can't do too much of that, because that is a huge resource suck. When you have to take a car like, a V10, Audi R8 or Lambo platform, or the GTR, and you want to go that far with it, to do it properly is, 20x the effort is to put out a core products for, let's say, the F-150. Sure. What you're doing, intake, intercooler, bolt-on turbo, maybe exhaust. Getting deep dive into that is so much, just figuring out the engine stuff. How do you come out with a good engine package that's reliable, that can hold up to 4 times the amount of horsepower that does stock? It's a huge investment of time. And we've made mistakes in the past where you go too deep. You try to do it on this car, and this car, and this car, and you stall out. And you can't get it all done. It takes forever. So, but yeah, I'd say the really the Evo was the first one, and then the GTR.
Whether you are new to working on cars or a seasoned shop owner at the top of their game, the High Performance Academy is where all car enthusiasts can go to expand their skill sets. If you want to learn how to build an engine, tune your car, improve your wiring or suspension setups, the HP Academy has the perfect step-by-step course for you. As a friend of the show, they've provided listeners with a special 55% off discount code that you can use risk-free on any course of your choosing. Details are in the description of the show below, or go to the partners page at Minnoxide.com. Go check it out. Let's get back to the show.
And then we learn, hey, let's pace ourselves. Let's do some other easy bolt-on stuff while we kind of then pick our next platform that we work on.
So let's bring it back to the EcoBoost and the G80 over here.
Yeah.
What goes into a proper program, right? Because like one of the things that we talked about off camera and in our tour is a lot of people will make these claims. They will say it, plus 20, plus 25 horsepower, as you were saying. You guys test everything here, including your competitors' products.
Yeah.
How are you able, what do you do differently in order to accomplish that?
So, one, data, right? Get data and get good data, because, bad data is almost as good or worse than having no data. And we've seen people make claims, and then you look into it and it's done on different dynos at different cars, and it's like we keep all the variables the same. So we talked about before, like any of the development cars, we create a wiring harness where we measure all the temperatures and pressures across the whole intake and exhaust tract. So you're measuring stuff along the from the intake system, turbo inlet tubes, intercooler, charge piping, intake manifold, turbochargers, whole exhaust system, downpipes. You're kind of measuring the efficiency of that, and we do it on the same vehicle, standardize the tune. So that's a lot of time. I mean, we're talking probably just censoring a car up is probably 2 weeks of time, censoring it up, getting all that right, then baselining it, putting on dyno. We keep that same too. So like, we tend to run the dyno so it's standardized over time. We're not just doing a quick pull. Hey, let's make sure the runs last, for example, 8 seconds. So this thing's under full power for 8 seconds. Because when you're on the road with the truck, you're towing up a hill or getting on ramp or doing a 0 to 60 or a pull, nothing lasts 2 seconds. It always lasts longer than that. And when you can load and stress the parts, the OEM parts or our parts, and see how they truly perform, that's a good kind of baseline to have. So we standardize all that. We look at all that data. We do the same for the competitors. We're not trying to, falsify things. So we literally will just do it on the dyno. We'll swap out the part for part, all the same sensors, and we'll get data. And it's surprising to see what people will claim and what it actually does. Like we've tested parts for this platform that the competitors' parts are worse than stock.
Well, it also kind of speaks to BMW. You could probably speak about it a little bit better than I can, but just how amazing out of the box they are as is.
Yeah. I mean, there's clearly a lot of headroom in this car as far as making more power, but a lot of the OEM parts are already really good. And it's a struggle it's a struggle. It's not easy. It's not as easy, for example, as like on the F-150 EcoBoost to make the parts. This is a lot more work.
So a lot of people are comparing this platform to like the GTR in some ways, right? Yeah. Is it harder to develop than the GTR when you first got into that?
GTR was difficult. I mean, they're both difficult, but when GTR came out, it was a tuning solution.
Okay.
The trans was being a dual clutch and the hard launches, it was a little more sensitive. I'd say we didn't know as much as we know now. We didn't have the tools.
Sure.
For data analysis, for tuning, we have so much more experience and knowledge. So the GTR was harder, I'd say, at the beginning. Yeah, for sure. But this car has a ton of potential. You just get the right parts on it, and it does. It's pretty impressive. Like it's bolt-on wise, it makes more power than a GTR. The same bolt-ons. So.
One of the questions that I had while we were doing a tour, like when you were showing us all the sensor stuff for the F-150 or the Raptor back here, when did you like go down the Motec rabbit hole? Because a decade ago it was all AEM stuff.
Yeah.
When did you start going down that rabbit hole and then saw that as a real solution for you guys?
We've used a lot of different things. Like, like I said, AEM. I mean, I was on board when AEM was first coming out with their AEM EMS for the DSMs. I was beta testing stuff back then for them. So we've used a lot of different things. The main driver, I think, was Well, what's scary about Motec is its price, right? It's expensive, but it's really good. It is very well thought out. You can do so many things with it. Like we chose the Motec Dash for our data gathering because the data analysis software is very powerful. We're using AIM, which is an Italian company before that. And software it's good for track stuff.
Sure.
Maybe the AIM stuff, but for what we're like the Motec is great because you can adapt it for anything you want. Be it for on-track use or if we're capturing data logging on an engine dyno or in this case on the vehicle, all these sensors. It's very adaptable, very configurable. So that's the advantage of it. Nothing bad against the AIM stuff. It's not as easy to configure
for your specific usage. Yeah.
It's expensive, the Motec stuff, but it's very powerful. Yeah.
So when you say powerful, give me an example of some things that it's helped you in development. Is anything come to mind?
Just the amount of sensors you can feed into it.
Sure.
You can do it through the dash, through a CAN bus, and then the analysis, the back end of it. So, I can feed all that data into it and I can build out my own math channels, for example. So on all these vehicles, we do intercooler efficiency, which is not a sensor. It takes multiple sensors and a math calculation to spit out intercooler efficiency. It lets you build that all into the background and lets you display intercooler efficiency, for example. So, it just makes it easy, right? For us, being on the dyno, you can quickly see on the dash what's happening. Download the data. I can show marketing. I can make a dashboard for marketing so they can see a comparison between stock part or competitors and our part. And it's a nice graph. So you can customize all this stuff. It's very configurable. Yeah.
So I'll let you talk at some point. I'm on a roll right now. One of the things that you talked about is that you're heavily involved in the R&D side of things right now. So what does that look like, right? Because obviously you're doing some of the Motec stuff, you're developing the screens and all that stuff over there, all these various things. Are you in that by yourself? Is there people helping you? Is it a combination?
Yeah. So, I've kind of moved around the company. My main thing is I love a challenge, right? I love solving problems and I love improving things. You can tell parts, right? These parts make cars go faster. I like improving them. I enjoy that. So I also enjoy that in the business. Where can I make the business better? So, in the past, I've spent a lot of time in tuning, and then, training tuners and then obviously then them taking off and running with it. And now they know more than I do about tuning, So, I've moved around the business where I see I'm needed, rebuilding the engine program from scratch. Lance and myself, we did that. I was needed there. I'm very much data driven and, meticulous as far as figuring out how stuff works. So that was a good role for me. Once that was kind of sorted out and Lance, took that over or ran with it and he's doing an awesome job. And, then we kind of saw that, hey, R&D, we can improve that. That's kind of maybe the last thing we really have to work on because it is a very complex process to do correctly. And again, one of the reasons I got into the business is, or I should say got into the business, a reason I want to make products is, I want to create some stuff, create products, but also I saw how terrible it was working with most aftermarket products. The instructions suck if they exist at all. The parts don't fit as advertised. What you get, what's on the website and the picture is usually always what you get. So that was a big thing for me. I was like, I want to make it like OEM plus. It fits like a stock part, but it performs way better, right? And it's got the proper support, meaning the customer service team, documentation, instructions, to make life easy for everyone, be it guy installing it themselves in the garage or another shop. So that was kind of the goal for making those products and, make them easy. And that's kind of the goal of R&D, right? So, it's a lot of steps. Like, for example, when I stepped in here, we didn't have a set, we never need a project management software. The projects were managed. We have a lot of, and it was a lot of great stuff. It's just, we've always been like just running and gunning and creating all these products and tacking on more things as we needed. Like, oh, hey, we got to add this process and this process. Before you know it, you've got 5 Google Sheets, Google Docs, Excel, OneNote, and Google Calendar, and you're trying to manage all this stuff with, across 8 platforms, and you can't. So that was kind of one thing, like, hey, we need to bring it all together because it's coming out with an intercooler for the F-150. There's 120 steps. right? And we have a check mark for each one. It's doing market research. It's analyzing competitor stuff. It's getting data on the flow bench, on the dyno, censoring a car up, taking measurements, doing, manufacturing risk analysis, design reviews, creative, roundtable. There's then vetting manufacturers and RFQ. And there's so many steps in the process. If you don't do it correctly and follow it, and you forget one of those, it could set you back months sometimes. So that's where I came in, and I can't take credit for it myself. I've Max helped me a ton. He's great with with organization and software. So we work together on getting that done and kind of streamlining it. And my ultimate goal is, how do I remove myself as a roadblock here, right? So if I'm spending all my time managing projects for people, that can't be, it's not good. Then I'm the roadblock. So that's what the project management software did, is let I can keep a pulse on it, but people now can manage their own stuff. The next step was really, all our testing, right? We have a flow bench that we built. How do I make that efficient so anyone can use it, not just me, and gather the data? Same with the cars. And so, building out a training, then I had the time to build out a training program, train people. And now if someone's working on an intake, they're just using the flow bench and just running with it. Not, hey, Martin, we need you to set this up and run it for us and show us the data. Like they're doing it on their own. And that's, I enjoy that. I enjoy teaching. And like I said, removing myself from the roadblock in the systems.
There's a lot of time that goes into the initial step for you, though. I was thinking about this dash layout here, like you have in the Raptor here, that just going through all of the data that Motec provides and deciding what you need to or not to look at, that must have been a pretty big initial
huge
time suck.
Huge. I was up till 1 in the morning sometimes, like building that dash out. It's a lot of, I look at it like, if I'm going to put the work up front, a lot of work up front, it's got to bring efficiency, right? So, but the goal here is to, we want to do 3-4 platforms a year, 3-4 vehicles a year.
When you say 3 or 4 platforms, you mean actual
Yeah, like let's say in the 1 year I want to roll out products for Tacoma, F-150.
Okay.
We're going to be doing 2 more vehicles coming up. So every 12 months I want to have 4 vehicles I'm making parts for.
Sure.
You got to be efficient. So it is a lot of upfront work to set all that up. A ton. Standardizing the harnesses, just building a harness with 18 sensors.
Yeah.
What thermocouple amplifier do you use? What sensors do you use? Standardizing all that. So when these guys go, hey, you're going to build 4 of these harnesses. Use all the same sensors for every car. I'm going to build out a Motec dash layout, which is literally the guys are trained to now. It moves from this car to the flow bench. They load up a different calibration, or moves to the Tacoma or the WRX. They load up a calibration. It's ready to go. It did take a long time. I was like, there's some nights where I got into it and I was up till 1 in the morning, just programming away and setting it all up. Yeah, it's a lot of time.
Where did that come from, by the way? So you remind me again, your degree was it mechanical or chemical engineering?
Mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering. So you don't exactly seem like somebody who's not busy. When did you learn to program?
By programming using Motec, right?
Correct.
But their software, it's not easy.
I couldn't start it today. It's not exactly something that's just grab it and go.
That's, I think, that's part of why we've been successful as a company.
Sure.
Because I have that passion for figuring out things I don't know, right? It's also a curse sometimes, but here's Motec, here's i2 Pro, the data analysis software. Here's a dash configurator, learn how to do CAN bus stuff. Here's our display creator, how to create displays. It's a lot of time. It's really just, I'm not one to give up. So it's just spending a lot of time, and managing it. Do you do it here at work? Do I do it at home? And that's why this business is it is hard. It's a lot to learn, sometimes you find the good people for it. Like I said, with tuning, I've got 2 good guys that, I trained, but they took over, and they have the same passion of figuring out how stuff works. So, but it's really, it's a lot to learn. You have to know a lot of things in this business. You have to be good at a lot of things in this business to make it successful.
How did you first start getting into tuning? Because they didn't exactly have HPA Academy or anything like that back then. Were you just kind of trial and error, or was that? Back
then it was on the Mercor, on the 2.3. Yep. It was called the Ford EEC, because the EEC4 ECU, Ford EEC tuner, which was like a binary ROM. It had some tables in there.
Yeah.
there's no wide bands back then were like $3,000.
Yeah.
If you went to a dyno, it had one, maybe you were lucky, but there's no like portable wide bands. So you're tuning off a narrow band, you go to dyno, verify it's okay. But I learned that. I read a lot of books. There's a lot of knowledge out there if you look for it. I mean, there's books, there's one book on engine theory, which is from like, it talks about World War II. A lot of if you look at engine technology in World War II aircraft, it's pretty amazing. Methanol injection, double overhead cam, direct injection, mechanical
even
direct
before
injection.
the LS, huh?
Yeah, mechanical direct injection, but still, there's
Well,
a
a lot
lot
of our innovation comes from government.
Oh yeah. This is stuff been around for a long time. So there's places to learn, and now with the internet, it's easier than ever.
Sure.
But that I taught myself. Like I said, I'm very meticulous about things I do. So, I'd learn. But tuning, that is like even finding someone to tune, hiring for that position. You have to you can't just teach anyone.
Yeah.
You have to find a person who has that passion, and they have got that knack for mechanical knowledge, because you can't just know what does ignition timing do. You have to know how that interacts with cam timing. What does cam timing do? What do you do when you advance and retard an intake cam or exhaust cam? How does it affect the motor, the exhaust back pressure? How does it all intertwine? It's a lot to learn, a lot to figure out, and I'm still even learning some stuff now about tuning. There's some like the direct injection stuff. There's like you could never. I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I know enough to be good at stuff, but I'm always still learning.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, I was going to ask, is there anything in this building, like, is there any role in this building that you couldn't, I guess, understand or be able to do yourself? Or
like welding. I used to weld, right?
Sure.
But I'm not proficient. I sat down a while ago, did some aluminum welds, and
Sure.
Not great, but I was able to stick two pieces of metal together. But I haven't done it in a long time.
Sure.
Yeah, I could, I can't run like the CNC, like Zach's our machinist, right? I don't have experience running a CNC,
Sure.
for example. So no, but there's a lot of jobs I could do, but it doesn't make sense.
You have an ultimate understanding of how it works, though.
Yeah. And I think that's important too. If you're managing, departments or people or having a business like this.
Wow.
Rookie move. That's the first time mine's ever went off on 163
Really?
episodes.
Wow.
Pretty sure that's the first time.
But you have to know enough to where you can assess if people are doing a good job, if you're getting bamboozled, you do have to know enough. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about you, right? Like you're probably learning all the time. Where are you placing your energies?
Oh man.
Something got your eye? Like currently, is there anything that's like on the horizon?
It's really for AMS. It's making sure, like for us, the growth is in making parts, right?
Sure.
We can work on the cars here, but we're limited on space. How many cars we work on, right? You can't go, we're going to double that output. We can't, right? So for us, it's maximizing that, but it's also, making parts, because, if you have a big enough dealer network, we have the capacity over here for inventory and manufacturing, and the supply network where, we can probably do double or triple the business out of this space. So for us, it's the parts. It's finding the platforms, identifying those platforms and the parts, and just, rinse and repeat, in an efficient manner that brings about good products. So that's kind of what excites me, is streamlining that, and really teaching, the whole R&D team, the whole process. And they're good. They're getting really good. And they're like, the biggest thing I think I have to transfer the knowledge on is some of the data analysis. So like stuff in the Motec where when we're analyzing, for example, like how does this affect another part? They've got a decent grasp, but I think that's the final puzzle is transferring that knowledge to the guys where they can run with it. And that's the fun part for me is if I can teach something to someone and they can do it, then that's exciting to me.
Do you see yourself transitioning out of the builds at some point in time if you can, and spending less time at the track or doing stuff like that? Or
when do you go to the golf course?
Yeah.
What's that?
Like when
Yeah.
It's funny because I've got, friends outside of work, and they're like, they know all about, I don't know. NFL and college teams, like, when do you guys have time for this? And clearly they have a day job where they have time to burn, so I don't have any of that time. So this is a lot of time. And that's kind of what drives me, is to keep improving things, is to me, at this point, at my age and like with a family and everything else, is like, I need to create the time so I can actually enjoy myself a little bit. Cause a lot of this is very high pace and high stress. And again, I wish I would learn or know what I know now about business in general 15 years ago.
Right.
Totally different landscape, right? But unfortunately, this was my first job, which probably, if I would have worked out in the world for maybe 5 years, I would have seen, a lot of things that would open my eyes, but it wasn't my first job. I knew nothing about business at all. I'm a mechanical engineer, trying to make the best things I can. That probably hurt too. So there's a lot of things, I wish I would have known back then. I would have been in a different spot now, but here we are. And I just keep kind of pushing forward and what drives me is seeing the improvement, and seeing it get better. So again, now my stress level now compared to what, even though it's still very much, you're on it all the time compared to, let's say, 10 years ago, I couldn't go on vacation. I'd go on vacation and I'd come back and there'd be a line out my door of people. I was dreading going on any vacation, even, and I remember we kind of did the big kind of like revamp AMS version 2.0. It was 2018 or 19. I remember went on vacation with my family, went to Europe, and I was gone for like 10 days or 8 days. I was stressing. And each night I'd call in. I'm like, how's it going? Like, stop calling. Like, it's fine. We got it, And we came back and sat on my desk and there was not a line of people at my door. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. So, it's, and I'm sure many business owners in this industry can relate to that. It is difficult. And like, just, you got to make sure the business is right.
How'd you get to that point? Like, how exactly, like you went from not being able to ever take a vacation to all of a sudden you can. Was there a difference? Like what changed?
It's not one thing. I mean, it's a lot of things, but I mean, if I have to, if it narrowed down, really it's people and process, getting the right people on board. And, in the business I started as a business as a passion. And you're working with people you bring on board who you become friends with, right? Or someone else who had the same passion, and you're friends with them, right? And and they're good. They're good enough, right? They're maybe not at their job, but they're not amazing or great, but they're good enough. And you kind of like.
I keep telling this to Dan, by the way. He's good enough.
How I strive to just be good enough.
And it sucks because some people view that as ruthless, but when you're grinding and killing yourself, and you see like, shit, man, I gotta let this guy go because you know what? I can do better. I can get someone on board who can do better, and it sucks. And you're friends with them. That was the hardest thing is the people changeover, is getting different people on board. And we lost some good people, and then but we swapped over some people that we need to swap out. And that was probably the hardest thing, from an emotional standpoint that I had to do in the business. That was incredibly tough. But it was that, and then putting process to everything. I mean. When I first, I brought Max on board. He's our CFO, COO. He's been a great asset additional to the business. When I brought him on board, originally as a consultant, right? He knows finance. And he saw the exact same things I did. And we had a list. I mean, I'm not joking. We had a list of 100 things we had to work on.
Okay.
And I won't call it, it's called the flywheel effect. And it's a lot of work to get the flywheel turning. And it seems like you're not getting anywhere. You're working on all these things, chipping away one at a time, and all of a sudden it starts moving faster and faster, and then it's moving on its own. So like I said, it's a lot of different things, but the two biggest thing is people and process, and you get those things right, and you can do a lot of cool things.
Well, it seems like you're really big on efficiency, having processes, things like that. So that's a good recipe for you being able to relax a bit more. If you make things more idiot proof, for lack of a better word, you've got your dashes you've built out, people can move them from car to car. You're using project management software. It makes it easier for people to see what's going on. All those things are going to take stress off of you, put it back in the hands of your employees a little bit, and give you a chance to maybe step back a little bit, I suppose, at some point in time.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd step back. I just, I'd like to be able to work on finding that time to explore what's the next thing to do with AMS, right? There's some different product lines or different business models we can go into. And that thing, like I said, putting out, like, I'm not trying to put my stress on other people. Yeah. Because again, when you put that process and efficiency in place, it helps everyone out, right?
Right.
And I've been there so many times where I have not put myself in a good spot where I had a good process in place, and I'm struggling, and sometimes takes an outside perspective, like, hey, what are you doing? And my wife's really good at that. Like, what are you doing? Like you slow down, step back and look at what you're doing. And I've had, thankfully, people here also, I'm open to criticism. I have people tell me, like, even one-on-ones with my engineers, like, hey, let me know what I can do to improve. Let me know things I'm not doing right,
So it was longer than a 20-minute chat yesterday then.
What? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
I was like, oh, his engineer's tearing him a new one.
Yeah. And I do one-on-ones with my guys, every 3 weeks, and we go for a walk and talk and get feedback. I want to, keep a pulse on everything that's, they're seeing and I'm seeing. And it's the once a year reviews is I think, you got to keep a pulse on everyone. You got to.
You can't let it slip for a year, sort of.
Yeah,
deal.
you can't. You got to be. Active with the people. And again, I've learned this over time. I haven't been in the past. I've been into my work only, maybe, and not so much into the people, and that's had to change. So it's, Yeah.
So obviously, this is 10% luck, 20% skill, and whatever the rest of the song is. But I don't think this is all luck. And we'll come back to the cars in a second, but did you have a business mentor along the way, or mentors? Who are you learning lessons from? Or is this all just like, this isn't working, let's use my process-oriented mind to change it?
It's the first 15 years, no mentor.
Okay.
I mean, it was really just making mistakes, and, Arnie and I, like, staying up late at night and figuring stuff out and going, why is our inventory way off? Why is this wrong? Sure. Why is it was, God, I wish, like I said, I can go back and know that I should probably get a mentor. And that's the biggest thing. Like I said, and it was 17 or 18 where I joined a group of those business owners, and you literally see everyone has the exact same problems. No matter if they're a roofing company, insurance company, they manufacture medical equipment, everyone has the exact same problems. And, that was, I wish I would have done that a lot sooner. So, my advice to anyone is seek help. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's a bunch of, they're called, like, there's Vistage, there's, I think, there's a whole bunch of different things out there where you can join, sometimes paid, sometimes for free, and just get together with other business owners, and you literally they learn from you and you learn from them. Like, I remember my first meeting, I learned so much in that first meeting. It was a whole day meeting. It was once a month. I couldn't sleep at night. I'm laying in bed, just mind's racing. I'm making notes. And it was like my first few months like that was the same way. I go to a meeting and I'm like up all night. Just oh my God, all the stuff I can do or I need to improve on and change. And it was kind of like a cheat code. Yeah.
I do want to kind of pivot gears a little bit here. Pivot? That's not correct terminology on that one. Switch gears. Yeah. Who pivots gears?
Pivot.
To see that.
There's obviously a lot of things we could touch on. I want to touch a little bit because World Cup Finals is going to be coming up a few weeks after this episode airs. You have 4 cars going there, if I remember correctly, and some of them will be running the new. That's fine.
Sorry.
But they're going to be running the what's it called? The new billet blocks that you guys are developing or developed, I suppose.
Yeah.
Number one, how long did that program take, and how come it's ready? Is it ready?
Too long. Designing a block that has a water jacket in it is not easy, and especially that block because it's there's a lot going on there. That's probably now almost 3 years in the making. I'd say at least 2.5. Proving that out. So you have to get the first iteration. It's not right. You have to do all this work to get it right. And we've had some good partners we work with as far as this is before we had our machine shop up and running, that we worked with them as far as helping us sort some stuff out. You test in a vehicle. And we got to the point where we're comfortable putting it in a car. And it's Jordan Martin. He's a great customer to work with. He's a friend, a great relationship as far as like, hey, he understands the risk, but he also wants to be part of the risk and be on the cutting edge. So, he had a motor in his car that was he had 10,000 miles on that built cast factory block. And the engine's still good. It's actually in one of his other cars now. But we put that motor in his car. He drove it. put some power through it. And, we took it apart, we inspected it, we made some more changes. And now I think we're in revision 3, and we have like 3 or 4 blocks here now, with 3 of those going into cars that are going to the race. But it's a lot. And even on that revision 3, you're finding some stuff you can change around. We're seeing some, we're seeing this happening. We're making that improvement. So it's like our GTR billet block. We've gone through many revisions of that. I'm guessing 5, maybe 6, really. And not that we're like, oh, it's a game changer, the rest are junk, but hey, how do we make life easier for rebuilding them, standardizing something? Where can we find improvements to find more strength in it? So we've had a few revisions along the way.
What's a revision cost? Roughly between each iteration of it.
I don't want to know. I mean, the engineering time, imagine, you have probably a straight engineering time, 6 months. So imagine what that cost is. It's not just half a year of a salary. You have the overhead. So like when we kind of plan here, we building all the overhead in place, it's about $100 an hour cost per person in here in R&D. So if an engineer spend 10 hours, it's about $1,000 our cost. Okay. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And then, if you get a billet made, that's not cheap, especially if you're working with, you're not going to go, this is version 1, make me 10 of these. You have 1 made or 2 made. Sure. And those are really high because you have tooling, you have fixturing, you've got CAD CAM, or you have CAM programming, because we do the CAD here. But they make you 1 block, and it's probably 2.5 times what it's going to cost you once you get into a point where you're making 5 at a time or 10 at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's expensive. I've in that program, I've got, I don't know, probably $200,000 wrapped up into that.
Okay.
Without selling one yet.
Yeah.
Without selling one.
What about like when it comes to other, is that probably the most expensive component to make out of billet then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of billet.
It's expensive as far as, the material we use, like for the GTR2, it's not a regular 6061. Mm-hmm. It's a 2000 series, special aerospace grade aluminum that doesn't change strength with temperature. It's 3 times as much as 6061. So that the billet itself is expensive, but then machining it and getting it right, it's a lot of work, and it is expensive.
So here's another thing. A lot of people just want to use that as a cheat code, right? Like, all right, we're just going to get billet everything.
Yeah.
You have one that's a cast block over there. That car that was in Jordan Martin's car, that was making, 1,800, 2,000 horsepower before you guys are going to be throwing?
It was making 22 or 2,300 wheel horsepower on a cast block.
Sorry, I'm thinking, because like Omega was, that didn't even have a billet block either.
No, right? No. That thing was probably pushing 2,600 wheel horsepower on a cast block.
So,
it goes down to like we're not just building engines here.
Correct.
We're doing engine development, right? So, bringing everything in-house from, all our multi-step cleaning process to the engine machining, to the assembly, to the, the room we have with its own HVAC system, that all plays into it. And then, figuring out the weaknesses, where is this thing failing and why is it failing and what can we do to prevent that? It's the whole discussion of something as simple as tightening a bolt, torquing a bolt. What's the clamp load? How do you get that to be even on, an aftermarket product, which is nowhere close to an OEM consistency? OEM torque to yield stuff, like I said, is like amazing. The aftermarket stuff, it's very difficult. It took us a long time to come up with a process to get consistent clamp loads, but all that comes into play. It's how you assemble stuff, how you clean stuff, clearances, little tips and little tricks you do here and there to get all this stuff to live as long as it can, because eventually it is a failure mode, and the cast block, that V10 is, it's a very hard cast aluminum material, but it's very brittle. So eventually they do fail, they crack.
So between the GTR, I'm just going to use these two as an example. Between the GTR and Lambo program, which of those two was your favorite, or which one was more difficult?
More difficult? The GTR.
GTR?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, GTR. Because again, we're doing a lot of the firsts with that, right?
Okay.
Chasing that 6-second pass, that was in 2018, I think it was 18 or 19. We're chasing the first of the 6s, and it was like us and like there's some shop or some guy in Middle East chasing it, and ETS, and a couple guys. It was a race to see who would go first. I was just throwing money at it. And it was looking back, it's like, what the hell were we doing? How much money was spent on that? We could have done some really great things with, but that was difficult. And again, we learned a lot of things, and now we're applying that towards the V10. So I'd say that was definitely more difficult.
So obviously that comes with learning processes and stuff. So when you went to go onto the V10 platform, what were some lessons that you learned from the GTR or the R35 chase that you applied to that? Did it make life easier going into the V10 development? Or did that come with its own problems?
It definitely had its own problems, right? It definitely had its own problems. But yeah, like the engine stuff, and I think I told you that kind of we revamped our whole engine program about 5 years ago, and that we learned that we weren't doing things the best way we could. I mean, we had success definitely, but I would say nothing to the degree we have now, where as far as warranties, or as far as like the confidence, like, hey, this thing's going to last, right? As long as you do something stupid to this thing, it's going to perform well, it's going to stay together. So there's, like I said, the V10 stuff had its own challenges. The transmission was a challenge. I mean, the GTR was too, but Datsun had a lot of that figured out already, and the V10 was new to Datsun also. So there's a lot of challenges there, and to expect, the difficult part with any of these platforms is to expect a company to go, hey, listen, we've tested this thing for 3 years at 3,000 horsepower. We've thrown every scenario at it. It's all good. It's guaranteed. Oh, and this package costs $300,000. You're basically asking for like a Bugatti for, it's like the reason that stuff costs a lot of money because they have so much R&D up front into it to vet all that stuff. So, we do the best we can, but working with some suppliers too, it's like we're part of the beta testers, We're testing. It sometimes takes months, sometimes a year to get stuff that holds together, because not everyone has a 3,000 horsepower car they can throw together, or a way to test a transmission to 1,500 foot-pounds of torque in some controlled manner. It just sometimes it's difficult. That's why I said spacing out those kind of, I call them halo cars. So like the GTR, the V10, and I'm not sure what's going to be next, but you got to space those out.
I was going to ask if there's a next halo car.
I mean, there will be. We got to figure it out, and you got to be, I'm very much I want to do a lot. I want to look down the road, and I'll jump at opportunities, but I've learned I got to hold back. I've got to make sure it's calculated, because I can get into trouble. If you do too much at once, you get into trouble. So there will be a next platform. Just got to figure out what it is.
Well, I can't remember if it was on your episode with Street Alpha or who else, but like these programs aren't exactly cheap, like to go through.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Yeah. What's an Alpha 20 package cost? I got an R8. I want to come in here. I want an Alpha 20. Yeah. What is my out the door?
Ballpark 250 to 300, depending on what you want. But that's, that's transmission, right? That's engine, that's fuel system, that's tuning, that's safety equipment, fire system. That's all, a lot of parts, traction control. And then most importantly, it's all put together and ready to go. So, we've got cars here that are making 2,000 horsepower that if you get in a drive, you couldn't tell it was modified.
If you've been waiting on a standalone ECU solution, Tuned by Sean will be having an awesome Black Friday sale on Haltech products for the entire month of November. But that's not it. Once the sale is live, you'll be able to stack code Minnoxide for an additional 5% off. So get that Affirm ready, cut back on a Chili's dinners, I know I have to, and save up to get that plug-and-play kit you always wanted. Stay tuned. Let's get back to the show.
Besides being a little louder.
What's that weird whistling sound?
Yeah, but it's not. It's like you can't. It drives just like a stock car. And the beauty of it is when you have all stuff dialed in, especially like the traction control, that thing can put down, all the power it can, whatever the road will take, it'll put down. So it could be, 1,500 horsepower, 1,200, 2,000, and it's no drama. It just goes straight, and it's safe, and it's fast, and it's fun. It's like a personal roller coaster, really.
Yeah.
Well, where I was getting with that is like you could easily slip and be like, up, and there goes, 6 figures, right? Because you could choose any one of these platforms to really develop. Like the G80, like some people are going to be saying that it's like there's like 1,500, 2,000 horsepower Supras are, I don't want to say it's the norm, but they're not uncommon to like see like when you go to these big events. I mean, I know you don't want to disclose it on camera, so I could totally cut this part, but is there a particular platform that's catching your eye that or is you just going to wait a little longer on a Halo car platform?
I think wait a little longer because
Okay, sure.
because we want to get the billet block stuff out of the way. Nothing's really catching our eye right now because if you're going to do that, it's a lot of effort, energy go into, right? You're putting a lot of it's a big investment. It's a risky investment.
Sure.
So you want to make sure there's going to be ROI payback on it.
Okay.
So right now there's nothing super particular like I love these cars, but I think to have this as a norm of a 2,000 horsepower V10 R8 or Huracan drives nice. Like it's livable. Like Jordan drove his Performante with that. He put 10,000 miles on that thing. That thing's was making 2,200 real horsepower. It went 740s in a quarter mile. He'd drive it from Rockford all the way to Chicago for a meeting, drive it back. You can drive it and use it. I don't know if you could say the same for 1,500 horsepower Supra.
Okay.
Sure. So I mean, you could drive it, but it's not going to feel like a stock car. He had like Starbucks in his cup holder. You can talk in it. It's quiet. It's drivable. It's an overheat. You're in traffic, But like even like this, trying to make 2,000 or 1,500 horsepower, there's going to be compromises, right? So, for us, it's making that Halo cars kind of showing off what we can do with the platform, but also you got to make it viable so the customer can do it. And I don't want to. Whatever we choose, I don't want to sell any false promises. 2,000 horsepower all day long, it'll live, it'll be enjoyable. So that's where we're taking our time picking that.
That makes sense.
And I might be wrong on this because I don't follow it a lot, but not that there's not plenty of them out there too, but they don't have those platforms anymore either, right? The GTR is gone. The V10 Lambo is no longer.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So So that is the thing. The GTR is gone. We don't know what's next for that. The V10's like the Temerario. I think it's it's V8 high revving turbo. So that's interesting.
I'm curious to see what people do with that. I'm keeping an eye on all the other big names that are potentially going to explore that as well. So it's gonna be that's a weird platform.
Yeah, and it's like
that's super new.
It's super new, right? And it's a risk. I can't go out there and spend $400,000 and go, oops. Again, this business, it's cool, but I'm not driving Lambos. It's a tough business, and we have to be really calculated where we spend our money to make sure it works out for us.
There's that other new turbo car. It just beat that stupid Mustang at the ring. The ZR1.
The ZR1, yeah.
Any jab at him, I can get it. I'll take it. The next 5 to 10 years will be strange because we had the luxury of visiting SEMA Garage, right? And we got to talk to other folks who work at the OEM level and what it takes to make sure you're compliant and all that. Yeah, I'm sure that's something that you're also constantly concerned about when it comes to all of this.
Are you guys members?
Yeah. So I mean, we're this been on our radar for a long time. So. We have products that have carb EOs on them.
Okay.
So we've
been selling in California, right?
Yeah. Well, and we sell some stuff through some OEMs. We do some work with. So they required us to do carb EOs. Okay. So we're familiar with the process.
Well, people don't realize what that takes too. That's a process in itself. That's time suck and money suck and
it's a government agency. And when you have 8 people on a call just to question one word you have in your website, it's like what is going on? Like who's paying for all this? But it's important. That's why we're kind of for us the focus is on the core bolt-on products like intakes, intercoolers, bolt-in turbos, not turbo kits where you have to change out the downpipes and all this stuff. It's how do we make a bolt-in turbo that you plug in? It's plus 30%. 40-50% power capacity while still looking like stock and all the stock lines bolt up to it. That's the kind of stuff we're pursuing. The turbo kit's nice. Like people ask us, make a turbo kit for this thing. I don't want to. Like there's no room. So anything you do is gonna be a pretty major compromise, right? And it's just you're gonna spend a lot of time and energy getting something that you can barely get an air filter on. It's not the way we do things. And then you're going to sell how many of them? It's not super exciting for me. I want to make something that's a good engineered solution, that's elegant, that works well, and it could sell a bunch of. Yeah.
Is it easier to package the Infinitis compared to the G80, or is it roughly the same?
They're also tight.
They're also
also pretty tight. I mean, maybe a little easier on that one. Easier. This one's this one's tight.
Just a rat's nest in there.
Yeah, like I said, the intake, even designing intake on this thing was tough. It's without having a 3D scanner and scanning the components, OEM components, and also the environment they sit in, the whole engine bay and everything around. Without scanning all that and doing it all in CAD, you're not going to make anything better in stock. You're not. I mean, like I said, there's one, the reason our intake works better than anyone else's on this car is because we remade one of the OEM components, which everyone else didn't. I don't know if they assumed it was okay or good enough, or it is difficult to make and design. And we did it because that's where we saw the restriction. But again, you're only doing that if you have everything scanned, because it's a complex shape. It's not easy to make.
Well, touch on that as well, right? Because first of all, how much are you outsourcing overseas, like when it comes to like manufacturing stuff? Is it a significant portion of the business, or? Nothing's
made for us overseas, right?
Okay.
It's components. It's it's a casting. It's this part. Like when we get everything in, it's from many different vendors, right? The cores from this vendor, the castings from this vendor, the silicones from this vendor, the stanchions, the bracket. It's all from everywhere else. I mean, we do some U.S. sourcing, but I mean, to be honest, it's very hard to get stuff made here. It's very hard. We do when we can, but when you get samples from an overseas vendor, and it doesn't have to be China, an overseas vendor, when you get a sample quicker than you can get a quote from a U.S. vendor,
that's a problem.
That's a problem. Yeah. And it's sad. It's sad. And there's actually episode, it's called Smarter Every Day.
Yeah.
The guy
saw that one.
Yeah, the guy went out to make the better grill
brush. Yeah.
Great show. And you see the challenges he has to go through to get that made here, where there's literally some of the processes are lost because we've outsourced it and they don't know how to do it anymore, or they don't know how to do it efficiently anymore here for that kind of application. I mean, anything like aerospace or government, sure, you'll find stuff, but that's crazy expensive. We've tried to get some stuff made here for like, some of our CNC stuff that's like really precision, and you'll go to some of these places like, we'll do that stuff. We're, ISO 9000, we're this, something like that. You get the quote back and it's, 10X. Like, I get I'll sell one intercooler or one end tank. No one's gonna buy it, right?
Right.
So, like I said, we source from all over the world. And it's kind of, but it's quality stuff. We don't like, and that's a huge challenge in itself, is vetting suppliers. It doesn't mean it's cheap. It's you're still paying for some stuff. It's just you can get good quality stuff there for sometimes less than here. The consumer has a limited budget, right? They want the best part for a certain amount of dollars, and our goal is to bring that to them. So we have to be creative to do.
Well, especially when you're doing pay in 4 builds,
Yeah.
Well, what I always tell people when it comes to like sourcing outside of the US, right? It's like, well, imagine it was the other way around, right? Like, let's say somebody from China wanted to build something in the US. They're going to have to talk to vendors all across our 50 states.
Yeah.
There's bound to be a few bad ones, a few good ones. So it comes down to choosing a good one.
Yeah. I mean, it's, sometimes you can't even get stuff made here. I mean,
but casting in general, right?
Casting. I've had castings made here.
Really? Okay.
I have. The cost is 10x for tooling, and honestly, the quality is
less than I've heard in some cases.
It depends. Depending what you do. Like, no one here wants to do small production runs. They don't. Everyone's geared up to do large production runs.
There's that too.
No one wants to. A few people want to screw around with release, unless if they do, it's crazy expensive because it's for some specialized industry. So it's a challenge. We don't get any finished goods from overseas.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we get components from, like, it's all assembled here. It's welded here. That's one thing. Like, we order competitor stuff. You can immediately see when they get it in a box from China, Taiwan, or wherever else. You can
just drop it through their warehouse.
You can see it. They get it already. They design it maybe, but you can see they get it manufactured all in one shot over there, right? So we see that. We don't do that. All our it's finished here. Which I think, as far as the tariffs go, that was to our advantage also. We were definitely affected by the tariffs, but not as much, because, again, not all our stuff's from the place that got hit really hard by tariffs, like China. And then we're doing a lot of the finishing stuff work here. We're doing the weldments, the assembly, the fitting, the testing. So, that was maybe a little easier for us. weren't hit as hard because we saw like when they came out, we saw some suppliers going immediately like plus 20%, and every few weeks plus this. We're like, whoa, you know.
Well, it's crazy. Like when I was buying my 3D printer, the guy's like, "Oh, you came at a good time. This is almost twice as much a few months ago."
Yeah,
it's like, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, we've had really one price increase, and it was relatively small.
Okay. Well, that's also good.
Yeah.
One of the things like while I was going down like that kind of like machining and vendor route is like, for example, you're talking about like the water jackets in the billet blocks earlier. I mean, can you kind of touch on like why that's so difficult? Because my brain can't even wrap around like if I wanted to go produce something like that.
Well, it's difficult when you have a casting. When you're machining something, you have line of sight, right? Your tool has to reach where you want to go. So if you have water jackets in the billet block and you have to go, 8 inches deep, you got to have a tool that's that long, right? And sometimes the head of the machine or whatever else is like, you have to have a really skinny bit. So now you have a long skinny bit that's moving really slowly. It takes a long time for the machine. So one is you have to design it to be manufacturable, right? One, you got to be able to make it. So I mean, you have to have, physically be able to make it. But two is how do you make it so you can make it quickly, right? And that's something we've been learning along the way too. Is like, these design features are great, but I'm going to spend, a day on the machine, just machine profiling this because it's so hard to get to. And I got to use a, 1/4-inch ball end mill. And it's, so that's difficult when you're machining something on a billet. With a casting, one of my actually engineers here, he comes from a casting background. They cast iron. Like blocks, stuff like that. You have a lot more freedom. The cores and stuff, you can get water passages, which you couldn't ever reach with a machine, for example. Yeah. So it's just, that has its own challenges, obviously, with casting. But in that case, like doing a good water jacket in a billet block is difficult.
Yeah, because for example, like again, I keep referring back to 3D printing. It's like, oh, well, you can't reach that there or whatever. Like, how does it like? And I could probably YouTube this, but it's like, how do you like get all the bends and stuff within there? Like, how do you machine those within there?
You got to have a tool. I mean, it's like a 5-axis, which is either 3-axis plus 2 or true 5-axis, where that they can swivel and they can machine on there. But you got to be able to see it. Right. It's like head porting. You're ever seeing a head porting machine where the head's moving around, it's trying to get into ports, and it's got to come from both ends sometimes. It's got to go from one end, and it's got to go from one other end and kind of meet up. So when you're designing, you got to make sure that, hey, can I reach everywhere? And if you can't, sometimes you got to make a feature like a plate where, hey, this part's bolt on. It's machined out, and then the other half gets bolted to it. Right. So that's how you'd never be able to reach it from one end, but when you have two halves and you can bolt them together or weld them together or whatever else, that's how sometimes you can make that happen. Okay. Yeah. There's actually like on the V10 block, there's where the water I think exits or enters the block. It's not machinable in one piece, so we actually have a plate that goes over it, so it's all nice and smooth and contoured, but then you have a plate that kind of covers it all. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just digesting.
No, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, you haven't seen enough engines apart probably to really so I can picture all the water jackets, all the stuff, the heads lining up, all the jackets having to line up, all that stuff. Yeah. It's a engineering marvel that any of that stuff even works.
We tried doing billet heads one time. We tried. Oh, really? We tried doing billet heads for the GTR, and I don't know how much money I sank into that. We never came out with it because it was not a viable product. Because there's a lot of heat that goes into heads. A lot of heat, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have much, like when you cast stuff, you have like, if you ever cut a head apart, it's kind of crazy. It's like a skeleton. There's like a dome, right? The chamber dome, and it's, I don't know, it's not that thick, and there's a whole hollow cavity for water to kind of flow around it, and there's steam ports, and there's different ways for water to get to make sure, like, for example, cooling the exhaust valves is a huge thing. The exhaust valves and exhaust valve seats got to stay cool. Doing that at a billet is virtually impossible. Even a multi-piece, it was very hard to do a good set of billet heads for that car. We tested, we spent a lot of money, got some made, put them on a car, did not quarter mile, but we did half mile bullet, because that's rest it, and the seats distort, and the head starts deforming. And we went through a couple iterations, and I threw the towel in. I'm like, I've got way too much money and time into it. And then to sell it, they're costing us, I think, I don't know, $14,000 for a set of heads. And like we're looking at like people are willing to pay, what are they willing to pay? 18,000. Like I'm never going to make my money back. You got to give a dealer any discount. I'm making a couple $1,000s on a set of $14,000 heads with massive risk behind it. Like I'm not even selling.
Right.
I'm not even worth it. Because it takes one time for us to have to cover customers. You're not going to never recover from that.
Right.
Was that a weak point that you were looking to try and fix? Because usually heads aren't a horrible problem. Other than
so that was another thing. Like we learned a lot there too. So like it was like sealing the cylinder heads. I mean these cars, like when you run them hard and you pull them off, the whole chamber, if you deck it, if you measure it like with a flat edge and a feeler gauge, or if you can put it on a machine and skim like one thou off, you'll see the whole chamber kind of sinks in a little bit, moves. So they have a limited lifespan, these heads, and then the seats distort. You got to do certain things like, we've had to move to exhaust valves that are larger and have a larger stem diameter to help pull some of that heat away, transfer that heat to the guide. Do different valve seats that put more, transfer more heat out of there. So are they a weak point at this point? Not really. We've also did some things. There's some parts of the chamber, like I said, it's kind of if you cut it in half, which we've cut blocks apart, we've cut heads apart, where it's kind of an exoskeleton in there. We found one part where the heads would always kind of lift. And we're like, oh, how do we reinforce that? We're like, oh, we can come from the top. We machine through the top of the head, and you can see the back of the chamber, and you would with this, end mill, pull a little flat on there, and you put a jack screw, a set screw on top, and you preload it, and you're actually pushing down on the chamber, and that weak part of the chamber, you're pressing down and preloading it. And so that's one solution we came up with, and then of course, when other people saw what we're doing, so they were doing the same thing on the head in the same spot, whatever. It's not, it's just, I can't stop that. I'm not even calling it copying. It's just, we came up with a solution first and it worked good, and other people did it. But then, that fixed a lot of those issues, and then getting good head gasket sealing solutions solved a lot of those issues. So that's why, in partly, we stopped pursuing that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you're truly doing a billet CNC head, you're going to change the angle of the runner, both the intake and exhaust port, to really take advantage of to improve the V of the motor, right? You're going to do stuff that's going to kill probably, emissions and what OEM would design a head for, but you're going to prove, ultimate engine, VE at high RPM. Then you got to do a custom intake manifold, custom exhaust. It gets out of control really quick. You're making it for the two customers that are going to do it.
Is a lot of that coming from that? Because what you're explaining to me, and you're talking about right how in this engine development stuff, like that's some like OE level shit you guys are doing. Is that your engineering background that's kind of coming into play there? Do you have other specialists that you work with when it comes to that kind of?
I wouldn't say. OE is. They have teams of people dedicated. They have combustion analysis. They have engine dynos. They have spintron. They're doing. Well, I don't know if they have spintrons, but they do some pretty crazy stuff. We're doing the best with what we can.
Right.
But I'd say it's just. It's a lot of research, a lot of learning, and just making good judgment calls. It's a lot of analysis. Like when stuff breaks, like I told you, if we see hey, why is this material not holding up? We'll send it out to a lab, and it's $1,000 to $1,500, and they'll literally, tell you this is the composition, all the alloys. Here's the hardness test of it. Here's exactly what it is, and then, we use some of those tools to kind of help us make decisions on which route we go. So I wouldn't compare us to an OE level, but they use engine software simulation. That we don't do that, but we'll do stupid little cool stuff. Like we turned our flow bench into a blow bench, where it was blowing air, and we made a miniature, a third scale version of our intake manifold for a vehicle, and we restricted the flow out of the ports. We're blowing air through it. The plastic 3D printed third scale model. And we're using what's called a pitot tube, and measuring the pressure in different areas and seeing flow distribution out of that manifold at certain flows. And we'll do stuff like that. It's a lot of iterative testing, or using just good common sense, and how do you get the most out without spending the most amount of time, because you can spend, and we've done it, we spend a lot of time, money on doing simulations. The CFD simulations, it gets very costly, very expensive. And the reasons we do it, because they're building 1 million trucks. We're building, 20 engines a year. You can never charge it. If you could, if you do an F1 team or NASCAR team, right? But we're not charging that kind of money for these engines.
Yeah.
But we did have the Hiroshi Tamura, who was a big guy on the GTR, had a lot to do with the design of that car, and the Nissan Z and the kind of the path forward on that. He visited us at their old facility a long time ago, and he was very impressed. He was like, how do you know how to do all that stuff? How do you know even the clearances when you're designing the parts? How do you know like it's just from I don't know, intuition, experience like that? Just kind of we've kind of learned along the way, and I think using 25 years of making mistakes in my case, or 20 more than that, 30 years of
trial and error is a big part of it.
Yeah, learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Like whenever something doesn't go right, I always figure out why, right? Because if you don't, you're going to make the same mistake again. So, why did this happen? What can I learn from it? That's the biggest thing. Be it from engines to components you make, to a fuel system you make, to business decisions, to whatever. You're always going to make mistakes. It's how do you learn from them?
Well, and that's a big thing with we've had a number of OEM folk that we've met or have had on the show, and it's like they're also kind of limited by their bubble, right? Like they don't get to iterate as fast as you may, and just like you cannot iterate as fast as like a single guy, working in his shop. But you all have your own different restrictions and goals that you're trying to go for.
Yeah.
So one question I had earlier: is there any because I saw like a stack of books in one of the offices over here. Is there any of them that you kind of go back to every once in a while?
Yeah, there's stuff I'll go back through, even from college. There's fluid dynamics books I'll go through, especially when I'm teaching these guys, like the flow bench. I had them go through exercise on a flow bench. Like, here's an inlet. Try to make this better, or try, here's an inlet with a sharp edge, do a radius, do this, and there's all this stuff in textbooks, and so I'll show them this stuff. Then you can real life test stuff, but there's stuff I'll go to. There's like fluid dynamics. There's like I said, there's one book I think is it Ricardo? It's an old engine book, but it's got so much good stuff. It's got data from, like I said, from I don't know, was it 80 years ago? They're doing this testing with I just crazy stuff they're doing and gathering data on. It's a really good info. And if you guys look, you guys spend the time researching, looking, reading. There's a lot to be learned.
There's a lot of stuff that I look up thinking that that's a pretty new innovation in engine technology. Like I was trying to think of, I was thinking overhead cams the other day, and I was trying to figure out what was that Ford, who was doing it, and I found out it was like it can go all the way back to like the 40s or something. There'd be a car with like
remember?
I think it might have been planes.
I think the Germans had it was a dual overhead cam V engine upside down in a plane, supercharged, like water injected. I mean, I need
to look that up immediately.
that if you look at World War II airplane engines, the technology there was crazy. Because they had these things, hey, how do you make them fly at 35,000 feet? Yeah, right. A piston powered airplane engine where you're throwing a ton of boost through them, from that era. That's crazy. It's crazy. There's a lot of interesting things.
It's got to be aliens, bro. It's definitely aliens.
My dad just came from a Mustang show where they were talking about the independent rear suspension in the Mustang, which I think 99 Cobra is when they first had it. And I was thinking, man, that's cool. But the guy who developed it actually was his son. Yeah. And they actually developed one for like the 64 or 65 Mustang. Yeah. They had one way back then, and they just like, nah, that's not going to work. And they scrap it, or it goes in some kind of archive and comes out later, Yeah. So no, it's kind of crazy to think of when some of this stuff started.
Yeah. It's really cool.
What about the VR30 platform? What made you excited to work on that one, right? Because like, it's not an easy one to go into the 8s with, because you guys just did an 8.9 recently, I believe, with it, with two of them. Yep. I guess, what called you to that platform as a whole?
Searching for the next thing, right? Sure. It's how do we, back then, I loved working with Mitsubishis, right? We had the DSMs, Galant VR4, the Evo 8, Evo 9, Evo 10, but that all came to an end, right? Which sucked. I mean, that was such a cool car. And back then that was like the heyday where you can buy a car relatively affordable and have so much fun with it and do all these cool things. And that was kind of like, when that ended, that really kind of was like, okay, what's next, right? And GTR was obviously that was kind of a big thing for us. Like, what's the next thing after GTR? And I'm like, oh, these things are interesting. It's a sedan or a coupe, It's a V6 twin turbo. It's turbo right there. It's like, okay, let's look at this. No one's doing anything with it. And, you know, this is kind of crazy. We're like considering doing it. And all of a sudden one day, it's our old shop, like sales guy's like, Nissan's on the phone, or Infiniti is on the phone for you. I want to talk to you. I'm like, Infiniti? I'm like, what? The dealership? Like, no, Infiniti. And so it was like the project manager, marketing guys, they called us and said, hey, you know, we see what you're doing with these cars and like the level of engineering you're putting into these cars. And, you know, back then the car was out for, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And a lot of the magazines that tested the car, like, we wish this thing had a little more, you know, a little more sporty, be it with sound, with feel. It's a little too subdued. So the Infiniti's like, hey, like, do you want to work together? Do you want to do some stuff maybe with this thing? Do you want to maybe help us with some product? I'm like, yeah, I sure do. You know, but like, yeah, we went to you because we saw the level of engineering and the amount of detail you guys put into the products to make them like OEM, which so that was cool. That was kind of set that you know, that path for us. They gave us a dollar car or whatever they called it. It was like a media car, which actually is back. I think maybe back. Oh, that car on the left right there. Yeah, that's a Q60. They came out, visited us, gave us that car, and said use it for some product development. We work with them. We made some product for them. But it was interesting. It was again V6 twin turbo. There was no market out there, right? People were not like, oh yeah, this is the thing that they modify, right? So we kind of created that market, and we've done that in the past, where it's like, all right, there's not a market there, but there's potential in the car, and there's enough of them made out there where if we can provide people the path, provide them the package where, okay, we'll do an intake, we'll do a tune, we'll do a whatever it is, a fuel system. Maybe we don't do like use this person's exhaust. Here's a package. I'll get you 500 horsepower reliably, no nonsense, no fuss. You can put it all together. It works, you know, right. That was kind of where that recipe worked. And because, you know, when you provide people that easy button to, you know, get a quick return on their investment, they can enjoy the car. And that's kind of it, you know, propagates the hobby. It's the stuff that it's like piecemealing stuff together, or this doesn't work. And they've, you know, we've seen like in the V10s, a lot of people like will buy that car, but then like not want to spend the money to buy a proven turnkey package, and they'll buy this turbo kit and get that tuner and this guy to build the engine, that guy to place the transmission, and it's like a puzzle piece, and everyone's pointing fingers. And for so many horror stories of like, yeah, the car has been down for a year and that doesn't run right, and now it's like, and then they kill and they sell the car and they're done, you know, and that's kind of sucks. It really sucks, but.
Well, you probably see that a lot. Like I've seen quite a few builds come through Chicago Motor Cars over here, just next door, you know, sort of deal. Yeah. It's like a lot of like turnkey builds. 25 miles on it, sort of deal.
Yeah. I mean, some of those guys just go through cars. I mean,
there's that too.
Like those guys just go through cars, build it, they enjoy it, they sell it, get another one. I mean, we have guys that like gone through like, I did an R8, now I want to do a Lambo. I've done, here's the first gen R8 I had, now I want to do a new R8. So I mean, there's a lot of those customers too.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Well, I suppose that's really smart on the manufacturer's side too, because you're going to build a passion for that platform, and they're going to sell more cars that way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm really curious like with some of the OEMs. I mean, like Infiniti, obviously we work with Nissan Infiniti and have a good relationship with them, but I'm curious if any other OEMs either, I mean, they probably hate it to some degree. I mean, I know because it's a risk for them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That is a risk. So I mean, I'm like, oh, they're probably like, we're cool with that. I mean, I bet you some of the engineers are really cool with it, but you know, as a corporate thing, they're probably.
Well, it's so funny. Like every time we go to Detroit and we start talking about aftermarket, let's say we're talking with someone from, I might use a Chevy example. And we're talking about a Chevy engineer, like, oh, look at what they're doing over here with these. And I'll be like, huh? What? That shouldn't be possible. You know, it's like, and it's like, it's their own bubble. I'm not sure how often you go to Detroit, but it really is like their own bubble over there sometimes.
The big three and all of the craziness that happens over there between all of the secrets and not secrets, and it's
never ending.
Yeah.
I do remember I went to what were we using? It was a CAN bus stuff. We're learning some CAN bus stuff. We took a course in Detroit. and there was us, it was me and my two tuners back then, and all OEM calibrators in this class, right? And then during our breaks, we're talking and we're telling what we're doing, like, what? That's awesome. And like, how do you even do that? And these guys like, oh, I tune just emissions on cold start, and I tuned the can. Like, it was so like separated, and they like, and they're like, no one was doing all of it, you know? Like, how do you do all of that? You know? So it was really cool to see, and they're just like kind of amazed at what, you know, like, yeah, we're stupid. We probably spend, you know, so much time figuring this stuff out and not making money on it. But yeah, it is interesting. Like,
well, we've brought that up to OEM guys. Like, how does it make you feel? Like, you spent the better part of 2 or 3 years of your life on this one single thing just for people to rip it out, sort of deal.
Yeah, but they've got a goal in mind, right? They have warranties. The thing has to last, right? Whereas we know, I mean, if you double the horsepower, it's not going to live for 80,000 miles of abuse. You know, where the OEM, I mean, see some of the abuse tests they do. I mean, it's like literally, you know, they put it in a cell and freeze the engine, start it, and go full throttle, right? Yeah. I mean, if you did that with some of this stuff, you know, so, you know, they have different agendas, right, and different goals to meet, and emissions, and all this other things they have to think about, and cool, and like, you know, they have to meet, and you know, and by emissions, like fuel mileage, even economy, you have to meet all this stuff. So it's like a lot of, you know, it's a lot of other challenges.
Red tape.
Of all the platforms that you've worked on the years, what's one platform where you could double the horsepower and it's the most reliable?
I'd say probably the V10. Okay. The Audi R8 Huracan.
It is the Civic with supercars, right?
It is. You can, I mean, we had our car making on a stock unopened engine. The trans is the weak point, but you can make double the horsepower as long as you're gentle on the shifts and you program the TCU correctly and don't launch it crazy. You can live with double the horsepower. We've had the engine making almost, I think we've touched 1,700 wheel horsepower on a stock engine.
Oh wow!
I think went sevens on a stock engine.
Wow.
Yeah. So 790s. It's. Yeah, that thing is impressive. Very impressive. That engine, what it'll live with, and it's crazy high compression too, right?
So for these things to be going 8s, right? I mean, how crazy are you guys getting with it at that point? Because I mean, how long have you been developing that platform now? It's been probably a few years, right? Yeah,
we've had a lot, like I said, our core products, like the kind of the easy button for people. Yep. And then we saw people wanting to go further. So people, you know, other companies came out with bolt-on turbos, some turbo kits. And then we saw them like, oh, we're interested in building engines, right? That's where we're kind of like, okay, let's look at that. Let's start our engine program for that, right? So that's kind of when it turned. And we're like, let's go in, let's take that risk, let's spend the time up front and do all the research and the debugging. Is how do we make these engines live, right? And you know, that car, two cars next door, they both went 890s. On a VR30, you know, making over 1,000 wheel horsepower. And again, that was, you know, we can't charge a lot of money for those engines because it's not a platform that supports it.
Right.
So it is a risk even building those engines because who's going to buy them? But people are buying them. People who see the value, because again, there's not a lot of competition out there, and you see people like trying to do it cheap. Like, oh, I'm going to put it together in my garage. And like, dude, no, you're not. I mean, you are, but it's not going to work out well. You know, there's so many things to know on a thing. It's not, you're not just slapping. And even some of the parts available out there, the aftermarket parts, you can't use.
Right.
We literally have custom pistons made for that thing. We have custom parts made for it because it's the stuff that's out there isn't right or has to be reworked and debugged. And it's just, you know, someone's going to spend, you know, 30% less money, but they're not going to have a good time in the end.
Right.
Buying an, you know, engine or building this engine somewhere else.
With the cars that you build here, what's the best bang for your buck? I mean, let's pretend I'm not trying to have a 2,000 horsepower GTR or, you know, is like 600 horsepower in one of those a good?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can get 500 wheel horsepower on those pretty easily. You do, you know, all the bolt-ons, you know, intake, exhaust, intercooler, heat exchanger, flex fuel kit, fuel upgrade, and full bolt-on. It'll do over 500 wheel. Oh, they're fast. They're fast. Stock trans, even those 890 cars, those have they're not like nothing's crazy done. I think Pure does the trans in those, like the converters changes, but there's nothing, no like gear sets. There's no like crazy stuff in those done to those things. I mean, our Z here went, how to go on a stock engine, we went 9 stock engine, stock trans went low 9s in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a lot of bang for the buck on those things, and you can buy used one of those cars now pretty cheap. Just gotta find one that's not ragged out,
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to put a ton of money in those things to make them fast.
Yeah. What does it cost? So this one 890s, right?
Yeah.
All said and done, what's that whole program? What's it take to make that go 890s?
I don't know. To be honest, no.
I gotta get your CFO in here.
Yeah,
Why am I
I'm
talking
not
to
a
the wrong
sales guy, right? So like,
Yeah.
I mean, the engine, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, that turbo kit might be, I don't know, $8,000. I don't know. And the engine, I don't even know what the engine is. I know what it was at one point, but we've changed some stuff. It's got a CNC head program on there. I don't know. I mean, it's considerably less than the GTR. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Okay.
But off the top of my head, I'd be making some numbers up.
Hey, that's fair enough. Well,
Like I said, I know a lot, but I don't know everything.
Well, it's
I
also-
don't.
We don't need anybody calling either and be like, "Yeah, I heard I could
he
get one built
said
for
it
20
was,
grand." Yeah,
20 grand. I go 8.
well, also that is something that's in constant development right now as well, right? So you're tweaking things all the time. So
Yeah. I mean, the engine stuff is, like like we don't make anyone a beta tester unless we have some agreement. Like, hey, Jordan Martin, that's about the only guy, right?
Yeah.
We want to test it first in house on our vehicles. We want to break it first, find all the pain points, and not let the customers be the beta tester, because that can end really bad. It can ruin you.
did that come from experience as well, or did you just?
That comes from observing other people, other businesses, and it takes a long time to recover. If you're the only solution, people will ride it out. But if you're not the only solution, you can do it yourself. Yeah.
Is there a platform here that you think you've accomplished, or any one that you work on here, you still got further plans for? Like, are you after the billet block? You're like, okay, we could go here, or what?
I mean, I think the V10 once we do a billet block, I think that's about it. I mean, we have some plans for a different intake manifold, something like a lot sexier than what we have now and better performing. That's when I was telling you, doing the testing on those manifolds, the miniature version. We're measuring air distribution per cylinder, and we're made design changes and prototypes and stuff to help increase the air distribution and throughout the engine on that one and make it look nicer. But that's about it. I mean, the V10's really, there's a whole lot of meat left on the bone with that platform. And same with GTR. Obviously, that's long in the tooth.
Yeah, I mean,
and around, and there's not much else to do on that car. But like Toyota, no one's gonna build a Tacoma race truck for 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah,
this platform, probably the EcoBoost, also is going to build those bolt-on parts, the intercoolers, the intakes, inlet tubes, maybe bolt-in turbo, exhaust components, maybe a fuel system or flex fuel solution, and that's it. That's what's going to be 95% of the aftermarket.
Yeah,
that's going to keep everyone happy, right? You always have the one guy like, but I want to build a 1,000 horsepower Raptor, and if you go, okay, we'll spend all this time, you're going to build one, and then you might get 1 or 2 more guys.
You guys pretty much just want to stick with the performance, like adding horsepower and performance that way? I mean, your trucks here, you're not going to get into lift kits or shocks or anything like that, or is that something that could be?
It could be. I'm keeping that open. The performance side is hard. It is.
Yeah.
When you're making, there's a lot of work. Like you see, there's a lot of data. You have to sensor it up. You got to test it, measure. There's a lot, right? There's a lot. When you make a bolt-on part, you just make it and sell it, So it definitely interests me because even though I enjoy challenges, I don't want to work hard at everything. I don't make everything hard,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am, it's open. I'm not saying we're making parts for that, or accessories, but it's a possibility. That's one of the avenues that we're looking at, down the road of adding some stuff, some cool stuff that's unique that has the AMS spin on it,
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes the low hanging fruit helps fund the hard shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to have some of that to support some of the racing.
Like a lot of the performance shops that are at least keeping the lights on, most of them also do service, or some of them do. You
have to. You can't survive building just race cars. You can't. You can't.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Ferrari started making cars for stupid normal customers.
Yeah.
So they can fund his racing.
Well, that's
right?
why the guys at Rada don't have their jet ski yet.
Yeah. How much were you doing much cross shopping before you settled on Motec? Or was that just kind of like the obvious choice?
For what? For like,
For whether it's data collection or just for all the race cars?
yeah, we've used a lot of different stuff.
Sure.
We used, like I said, AIM for data acquisition. We've used, Cyvex. I've played with Haltech. I've played with, ECU Master. I've used a lot of different stuff, but in some cases, like the V10, they have a great plug and play solution. Motec has Motec has an awesome plug and play solution. So it depends on the situation. Like we use Cyvex for like some GTR stuff. They're also a great solution. They have some great products. But for the platforms, I mean, Motec's just very capable. There's pros and cons to it, but it's very capable. It just works really well. I won't say it's easy to use. I mean, it's easy once you learn how to use it.
Sure.
Once you've used it for a long time, but at first it's daunting. But it's very capable. I've tuned people's cars on, oh God, I don't want to. No, I mean, I've tuned like someone's like, drift car years ago on a different brand ECU. And it's like just simple stuff like cold start compensation. It's like, okay, they have one part of it right, but they don't have the other part. They're missing this complete, so it's like, yes, does it work? Will the car start? Yes, but it's not how it should be. It's not, to me, like selling the customer solution is like, no matter what the temperature is, no matter what ethanol content's in their car, they should be able to push a button. It's cold. It fires up, idles nicely, it comes down. They can drive it away dead cold, and it drives like stock. And things like Motec and Cyvex let you do that. So, yeah.
That was when we talked to Sam the other day, our mutual friend, Sam Barrows. He was talking about there's a team of engineers that work for years just to get cold start right on an OEM ECU. So sometimes when you go to a standalone, now you're back at step one for that.
Yeah. I mean, we can want to circle back, like, us building cars or tuning cars here, like our tuners take a lot of pride in getting that car to be like an OEM car, right? And that's, like I said, making power on the dyno honestly is one of the easier things. It's the things like, how does the car behave coming off a cold start? How does it cold start? How does it behave coming to a stop sign and driving away? It's all the things that you don't really think about until you have to drive in traffic or use it as an everyday car that really sets what we do apart from a lot of other companies or tuners. Not saying other people don't do it, but a lot don't. Like, oh, it's good enough. And we'll literally have customers like, oh, I'm happy with mine. And they drive one of our cars like, holy shit, it drives like stock. Well, yeah, it should. Like, mine does. Like, but to them, it's normal. Like, it's tuned. Yeah, it kind of has a lumpy idle, no, that's not how it should be, or it's modified. It's like, it doesn't have to be. So that is, and stuff like I said, Motec and Cyvex lets you do those things that you can drive it like stock.
Do you do any like, I guess at what point do you have to go standalone? Like let's use the V10 platform.
Yeah.
When do you go standalone? What power level or build level?
I mean, once you get much over like 1,200 horsepower, we like to go standalone. And there's some great, tuning solutions like Ecutech. I mean, they've got solutions for, GTRs, the VR30s, Tacoma they're working on. They've got some great OEM solutions as far as integration where you can make changes to the OEM ECU. Because again, OEM ECUs are good. They're not like, it's like, well, it's not a good ECU. Just rip it out and replace it with a standalone. Right. They're actually very good. If you can control them correctly, if who's ever doing the work like Ecutech or Cobb, they can, for example, inject custom code to bring flex fuel into it if it wasn't designed for, or bring things like traction control or a different boost control into play. So OEM ECUs are not bad. They're actually really good. Like a lot of the European Bosch stuff is really, really good. Does torque management well. That's all. It's great as long as you can have access to control and modify it. So it all depends, but it depends on the vehicle. Like on V10s, it's much over 1,200 horsepower. We like to go standalone. Okay. You just have a lot more functionality. Like I said, the traction control, right? It sounds simple. Oh, just do traction control, right? Well, it's not just that. It's how do you get a good ground reference speed when you don't have, when you have 4-wheel drive? How do you handle it when the GPS drops out and you're in a tunnel or under a bridge? How do you handle that properly? How do you, everything from slip ratio to, how do you make it all so it's seamless, where the customers even feel like, how does this thing, like we have customers like, I don't even feel the traction control kicking in, because you don't, it's so seamless. Whereas a lot of OEM cars, when traction control kicks in, it's very abrupt. It's like, oh, you can kind of feel it pull power, and the V10s, even the NA cars, their traction control is very, when it's on in any form or fashion, is very intrusive. This car is great. Ours is rear wheel drive. And I didn't know this, but the all drive doesn't have this. The rear wheel drive, you can set up traction control on there, like 0 to 10. You can vary it. And you can, like, with 0, it's off. Like, you can feel the difference in 1, 2, and 3. It'll let it slip a little more. It's actually very good traction control. So again, the OEM can do it right, absolutely. But with like Motec, you can dial in on however you want, and you can give the customer control of it. You can give them, hey, this one, here's your traction control. Here's, off, like for dyno mode. Here's the different levels of TC. And I've done a demo actually in R8 where the car is tuned for 1200 wheel horsepower. I'm in the rain with one hand flooring it, and it just goes straight, and there's no drama. It just goes, and whatever power it can put down, it does. And if you looked at a log, you see the rear wheel speed just kind of like just doing this right above and holding like a 2%, well, whatever percent of slip target versus speed, it's just holding it. And you can't even tell. Yeah.
I think one of the other big things too is, I suppose, as you start turning up the power, I like the extra nannies you can get, right? Because you can now the second that does anything weird, that can just shut it down. Yeah.
That's 100% right. I mean, Accutech has some integration of that. You can actually bring sensors in over a CAN bus and do some of that. But like with the Motec or any other standalone, it can bring coolant pressure in, fuel pressure, oil pressure. You can do, there's so many things you can bring into play where you can have it go and varying degrees, right? Sometimes it's catastrophic. Like let's say oil pressure, you shut the party down. It shuts the engine off, right? But you have other things where, like, with temperature or coolant pressure, where all of a sudden, like, hey, why cars has a rev limit at 3,000 RPM? It's flashing the light 3 times. Oh, that means this, and which is kind of cool, because we'll have cars we build, we send out, and something stupid happens, a fuel pump dies, and like, hey, my car's doing this, and the check engine light flashes 4 times. Like, oh, that's a fuel pressure thing. Let's look at the logs. Oh, your pump's dead, or something happened here. A line must have popped off, or because again, we build cars here, but we also send out our kits to customers worldwide, right? Overseas here, and that helps us diagnose. And we'll do remote tuning on those cars with those packages.
Okay. So you have like a dealer network of people that you trusted. How does that look getting into that dealer network? They need to prove to you somehow that they're capable, or?
So that is tough. We do vet people, because if you have someone who doesn't know what they're doing, it can be a nightmare. Absolute nightmare for us and them and the customer, right? Because if they can't put it together right, we've had people work with where we sell them a kit and like how to hook up a line to the manifold for boost, like what you have to walk them through everything, right? Which in that case it turned out great because they're mechanically inclined, they just didn't understand how everything worked. But there's absolutely that's something you have to vet. You have to talk to the shop. You have to make sure they know what they're doing. They know what they're getting into. We've definitely not. We said, hey, just ship us a car. We even have like a referral program. Like, listen, you got the customer. Here's X percentage for the build, so you don't have to deal with the headache. Or because again, it's a if you mess it up, it can be very, very expensive, right? When messing one of these V10s up. Some of this stuff, it costs so much money. It's crazy. It's really bad.
You've had some cars shipped here from overseas to build and ship back over?
We've had, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. But again, that side of the business, the shop side, that's kind of like, you can't triple the size of that, right? We're kind of, we're at, and we're selective with who we take in and how much work we take in, and work with good customers. Back in the day, you'd take whatever business you can get, and you'd be, 30 hours deep in on a build for someone, and there's bitching, complaining, and you're trying to make something fit because they brought you these parts. They said it would fit, and it doesn't fit. And then like, well, it took me 10 hours. I'm not paying for that. They said it would fit. No, man. It's
how's track support go for you guys then? Because we've got some people that we've talked to that are kind of cutting back on that a little bit, because that's a huge expense and an endeavor in itself.
100%. Let me take a sip of water because this could get interesting. So
I just want to touch all the aspects of this that sucks.
Yeah. Relive some nightmares here. So it gets interesting with track support. I think the way we used to do it, and a lot of people did it, is the customer's like, we spend all this money with you. Now we have this build. We're going to a race. We want your support. And as shops, we're like, well, we have to support them. It'll make us look bad if we don't support them or something goes bad. We want to make sure we get the best out of it. And customers are like, well, this is free marketing for you, right? But to do proper track support, it costs so much money, right? So much money. And like one of the things I talked about is getting a grip on your finances. When you actually itemize, when you look at the flights, the hotel, all the money you're spending on food, I'm paying for the guys' breakfast, lunch, and dinner, paying overtime, paying for little transportation, all the time away, the time you've lost from here. It is scary how much events. I mean, we're talking like $50,000, $60,000 costs.
You're probably going to need to ship your car soon, or know somebody that will. And as someone who used to work in freight logistics, I understand the difficulties of finding reliable transport, especially when trying to make it to rallies, racetracks, or to warehouse to hide your Corvette, because you're going through a messy divorce, and when she says everything, she means everything. Anywho, Nick Shear is the proud owner of Sure Thing Logistics. Having traveled much of the country with every type of vehicle you can imagine, he's got the experience and reliability that you want to ensure a safe journey for your pride and joy. If you want to find out what it takes to ship your vehicle, go to SureThingLogistics.net, fill out the intake form, and be sure to let him know I sent you. Let's get back to the show.
Right? I mean, how are you going to recoup that? Oh, we'll get another build, and then we can support that build for free too. And we just keep you see where that goes, right? Now we have 10 cars we got to support for free, and we're going to really make money then. So, we tried two things because we charged a certain, we got to start charging, right? We charged, and it was just to recover something, and some customers complained, right? Like, okay, well, let's dial. And look, for us, track support is like, I don't want to half-ass it, right? We bring out our tuners, we bring out sales guys to handle the customers and the questions. We bring out at least one tech for each car. So if a customer has a problem, he's not like, my car is an issue, I paid from tech support. Oh, but he's working on his guy's car. We bring one guy for every car. We're bringing an extra guy to be at the end of the track in a golf cart with safety equipment, fire extinguisher. He's helping. Anything goes bad down there, he's ready for it. He helps pull the car in if we need to. We bring a guy who's kind of cleaning up the pits, helping out, pack chutes, stuff like that. It's a big operation. And then packing. Oh, one thing I didn't mention: packing for a trip. Make sure you bring all the spares, because when you don't bring a spare and a customer doesn't have it, they're not happy. So to go through now and have all the spares, itemize all the tools. I mean, it's literally days of packing for a trip and then days of unpacking for a trip that you don't realize the cost of it too. Yeah. So we started charging. Some customers are not happy. So we just scaled back. Okay, well, how we got to charge. We started basically not doing the one tech per car, and that did not work out well because they got pissed. Like when they couldn't get service right away, and like, well, I paid for service. We're like, yeah, but we can't. We're losing money. Like we're trying to make it work with one guy for two cars, and in the end, we're like, you know what, fuck it. That's just it. This is what it costs for us to go, and all we're trying to do is recoup our costs, not make money on it, just to cover our costs. We're still losing money because we're not here working on cars and doing builds, right? Our guys aren't here on the phone selling stuff. Granted, it's marketing. If it goes well, you can get more part sales, but we're trying to just recoup our costs into it. Yeah, and it is what it is. And we got flamed for it by some shops like, well, they're charging. How dare they? And all of a sudden, 2 years later, I see they're charging also, or they're not even going to events because they realize how much we can't afford to go to events. So, I think there's some shops. I think UGR doesn't charge for support, but if you look at their build price versus ours, they build it up front, which I get it. They build in a cost of a warranty, right? They warranty a lot of stuff. They also give track support. I don't think they charge for that, but their builds are considerably more than our builds, like a lot more.
Yeah. Well,
so
we've heard some of those price tags, and yes.
yeah. And again, that's their business model, and good for them. If they get those prices, more power to them, and that's the service to provide. But this is kind of how we operate, and now the customers know, and they expect that track service. And if they can't, the customer doesn't align. That's what it is. I don't want to. That's the worst when, again, you've got a customer who wants the world for nothing and you accommodate them. It's usually you're just stuck and you're in a bad place. So, but again, I now people charge for support, and like in the past when it was a passion, like some of the guys would go, and I've talked to the shops like, yeah, well, my guys come because it's a privilege to come to a race and like that. And we were doing it at some point too, but at some point it's a career for these guys. You got to pay them. You got to pay them overtime. And so like, because it is a job, and they'll get burnt out eventually too. So, then people realize, no, you got to pay people, and that's a cost and overtime. And we do nice things for the guys. Like after some events, we'll stay an extra day, and we'll kind of relax. We'll give them a day off. We all go do something fun, go fishing or something like that, depending where we are. But those events can be brutal, man.
They're not short days. Like sometimes you're working until 2 or 3 in the morning.
Texas 2K is a week-long event. We're there for like 8 days.
That's intense.
And you're setting up from morning to night. And like, I mean, some of our customers are great. Like, hey, I'm buying dinner tonight, and I'm like, that's great, but we're going to be here working.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm making reservations, and they're like, I'll let you know when you can make a reservation, because right now things are unknown. You might be here working late, and a lot of times sometimes you get out at 6 o'clock if you're lucky, 7 o'clock. Sometimes you're there till 9, 10 o'clock.
Right.
Well, that, and you're not working on concrete polished floors either now anymore. So now I've seen plenty of guys with their legs hanging off from underneath the car, and they've got 8 lifts back at the shop and their Snap-on toolbox.
Yeah. We've had to buy the portable scissor lifts. We bought portable. I mean, those aren't cheap. Buy those. Yeah. Buy lighting equipment. Pay for when you're there, you got to pay for the tent. Yeah. That's not and lighting to be put up. It's a good time.
Do you have a customer stacker that you bring with you everywhere?
No, we used to have an RV. We still have a stacker. We let our customer use our stacker.
Sure.
Dude, every time that RV moved, it was just, here's $5,000, light it on fire. Yeah. Every time it moved. Because you have an RV that's towing a stacker with 2 cars in it, or a car and equipment. It's everything's overloaded. It gets beat to shit. It seems like every time a tire would pop, because like, I don't know why. It's just, they always break down. And it's like, it was like $5,000 to $10,000 just every time the thing moved. And what are you going to put that on the customer every time? We got rid of that thing. We're like, we're not doing it. I think every RV or toter home is a giant pile of shit. Unless you're spending $1 million on, even then, they're all piles of shit. Unless you're buying like a Prevost or something that's like a bus chassis. Everything else is literally a cardboard box on wheels. It is. It's like we've some of the stuff we've seen. Like, why is the seatbelt pulling? Oh, it's screwed into fiberboard. Like, it's like, what? It's
the amount of money people will spend to be abused like that is kind of astonishing. Yeah.
The wiring on RVs, it's like I don't know. A crackhead electrician was doing it. It's like, what the hell? Yeah. So we're done with that. We're not right now. We get rigs. We get rigs and put in transport, and we pay for a car spot or 2 to put all our equipment in there. It's just it's
sure. Well, we just lost our RV sponsor. Thanks. I'm about to edit that out.
What sponsor do you have? Oh, that's a good.
It's Camping World. I promise.
Camping World's great.
It's not Camping World. My God, I wouldn't even let you take them as a sponsor.
Listen.
Oh, they're horrible.
I have ethics, but there is a certain size check that Camping World could definitely cut me. So I have a few zeros. All right. Well, obviously, we want to start wrapping up a little bit. Man, my choice of words is not here.
You're getting really close, though. Yeah, you're close.
Wrapping down. So what are some things that you're kind of jumping into in today? Are you doing much calibration yourself nowadays, or not that much? You leave that off to your team?
I'll leave it to tuners. I mean, like I said, they've been doing it for, I've been not doing it for that long, and they've been doing it every day and learning that they're ahead of me. Some of the stuff like for the R&D development, I can jump in and do, but even like the Raptor, like that was new to me completely. I fiddled my way through it for a couple of days, got somewhere. They've got a Ranger, which like they've run like 12s, and they know this in and out. They jump in and get sorted out right away. So, I know my limits, so not really doing much calibration.
What do you do then? Like tomorrow's Friday, we're not going to count Friday, but let's say next week. Like, what's the game plan for next week? Does every day look the same for you, or are you constantly just doing something different?
It's pretty standard, but like running a business, there's a lot of things from financial decisions to planning to dealing with certain issues to, keeping a pulse on the whole business. And thankfully I've got great managers in place. I've got a, manager for the shop. I've got a manager for the kitting and an assembly team. I got one for, sales, marketing. So, I very tight knit group. We meet every week. We discuss things. We kind of get ahead of things. So, I mean, as far as that, I mean, I'd say, probably 20% of the time is kind of just business development or just running a business and dealing with either issues, opportunities, then the rest of my time is really in R&D, keeping a pulse on all these projects, making sure things are moving forward.
You seem very involved with like every project here. Like you can like rattle off almost everything, which is honestly kind of impressive.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to wrap your head around, but it's keeping tabs. Hey, and again, with systems in place now, I don't have to keep tab on every single one of those 120 steps in every project, but you're still kind of, looking at the big picture of everything. Are there any pain points I can help solve? Or is there anything where we're stuck at, what can I do to teach some of these guys something? And I free time. I'm mentoring at a local high school. It's actually right by my house where my kids are going to go to high school. They've got it's called the incubator program where these kids, it's elective. They take this class and they start a business in this class. It's a year long. And so it's, I'm in this program where me and 3 other people are basically, teaming up with kids and kind of their mentor in his business, which is kind of cool. Like I said, for me, it's like, if I can help someone avoid making mistakes or learn about business that I've had to learn the hard way, to me, that's great. It's just make like someone else's life easier, help them out. It's all good.
My daughter went through one like that, I think her freshman year of high school, and hers was a like tuning and performance.
Oh, really?
Stuff. And I'm pretty sure her teacher was like, that's a stupid idea.
It's a dumb idea. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's once a week, every Thursday morning. I go there for an hour but some of these kids are really impressive. I mean, they had some guest speakers that come through where they've went through the program, and one guy actually kicked off his business, and man, it's pretty impressive. Have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's a comedy / documentary.
Yep.
But
Future-mentary, yeah.
Man, it kind of scares me where the world's going with people and intelligence and even hiring people or just dealing with people in general. It's sometimes like, what is happening
I just want to say that you're putting 1,000 horsepower capable Infinitis in people's hands. So
yes. Yeah. I mean, there's good customers and bad customers, and like I said, in every platform,
sure.
But my God, it's. I feel like, again, I'm old and grumpy, but it's not the same. It seems like it was 20 years ago.
Sure.
But it did. We got an intern here. He's a sophomore. He's a junior in college. But when he came through and he said, I want to I want to come work with you guys. And what I saw in him, like the drive, I was like, oh man, okay, there's still people out there like this. And in this high school program, there's still people out there who are sharp and want it and get it. And so I'm like, okay, so I got some renewed, faith in youth,
Every once in a while you come across something and you're like, oh, this is, it restores your faith in humanity every once in a while.
Yeah.
I want to ask this before I forget about it. So remind me again, did Underground recently take the V10 quarter mile record, or am I making it up? Because I think it was their silver R8. I think it just beat Omega, right?
Yeah. I think so. I think it's like 6. Yeah, but both they're very close. But
yeah. Do you see yourself kind of trying to take that back again? How do you find yourself competitive with a lot of other shops when it comes to the track?
Oh yeah. I mean, absolutely. But then at the same time, you can't get the red mist. Like what we did with the 6 second. We never got our money back. The amount of money we spent chasing that 6 second pass. It's not like all of a sudden Monday, like we sold 30 more intercoolers Monday. No, it was, okay. I think all of us who did it, like, what the hell were we doing? So you just got to be careful, how far you get into it. Yeah.
Are you referring to the GTR or the V10 platform when you got the 6?
I'm sorry. Oh, the GTR.
Okay.
The GTR. The V10 was much easier.
Sure.
Much easier. But yeah, I mean, we're competitive. We want to we have to look at what's the resource outlay in time, people, and energy and money to go after and compete record for record, and it's got to make sense, right? Because if it doesn't align, you got to say no. You got to know when to say no.
Sure.
Well, and again, I'm pretty sure those cars were smoking pretty good by the time that was done.
You're thinking about a different one. No,
Oh, was I?
And,
Okay.
and smoking or not, it's still one.
Yeah, I guess.
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, but at what cost sometimes, right? If you're gonna Hail Mary passes like we talked about earlier.
Although I think the 6-second pass on the GTR, I think it was smoking like dropped a cylinder. That was
Oh, really? Okay.
that was a whole. That we actually rebuilt the engine or swapped the engine out in the pits that weekend. Oh yeah, it was a whole thing. It dropped like a cylinder, coil went out, melted a piston. But we got a 6-second pass.
Well, whatever happens after the slip prints, nobody cares about.
Exactly.
What's that? 6 figures? Yeah.
And to that, we ran that 6, and then people have gone faster since then, but no one remembers. They remember kind of the first 6-second pass, and people even a year ago, you guys still hold the record for that. No, people have gone 650s. We've long, way, but not even that year ago, but a couple years ago, no, people have gone way faster now. So we just, but they kind of remember that. So
yeah.
You think you'll ever have a psycho customer that wants to make a drag and drive car?
A drag and drift?
Drag and drive car?
Oh, drag and drive?
Although drift and
That
drive.
should be easy in one of his cars, though, right? Because
the V10 stuff. I mean, that is like Jordan's Performante 740s in the quarter mile, and you really drive it like a stock car to he drives it to the downtown, and then it's
he already builds drag and drive cars.
That is, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're talking about some extreme where it's like a 6-second. We don't.
Sure.
Yeah,
we're not in that.
I was gonna say that's such a outside of.
Yeah. Like
they're dragging daily cars.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. On that note, did you want to pop the usual 3?
Yeah, this will be interesting. So at the end of every episode, we like to ask our guests to pick 3 cars. I need a track car, a daily driver, and a show car. You can build whatever you want. Money is no object. What are you doing?
A track car? Oh man.
Any kind of track.
Probably a GT3 RS.
Okay.
For road racing.
First time we've heard that one.
I love road racing, man. That's. I mean,
yeah.
I'd still be doing it if it made business sense. It doesn't.
Right.
People like horsepower and they can equate quarter mile times. But I love road racing, and then the GT3 RS would be awesome. Daily driver. I'm thinking like the newest gen R8 with 1,600 horsepower.
Okay.
I think that'd be pretty awesome daily driver.
What was the last year for that? 23, I think. 24.
I think so. 23. Yeah, or 20. Maybe 24. I don't know. But that'd be awesome. And a show car. I'm not a show car guy. Probably a super super clean OEM Plus R34 GTR.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Would you do the Bayside Blue or midnight purple sort of?
The purple.
Okay.
One of the guys here, Marcus, has a R33 purple.
Okay.
GTR. It's awesome.
It seems like you're in one camp or the other. It's the blue or the purple. Nobody cares about the others. Well, perfect. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we close notes?
I've talked a lot, man. Yeah. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll hit record any second now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was just our trial
practice,
run.
right? That was
Yeah.
the real deal.
I got my whole list. Well, perfect. On that note, where can everybody find you?
AMSperformance.com. I mean, on our website, we've got Facebook groups. We're out there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Martin. Thank you very much for making this happen. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
A long time in the making. Dan, thanks for existing, and we'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for coming out. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks again for watching the show, guys. Be sure to go into the description down below and check out all of our sponsors. They are what make this show possible. It allows us to travel the country and talk to some really cool guests. So be sure to check them out, support them just like you support us, and see y'all next time.